So what are we going to be discussing today? So I think first I'll walk through the Why Africa story. I think, at a high level, a lot of you here in the room understand why Africa is such a bright spot in technology today. But I'll go through a little bit more in detail. I think the second is, what are the different types of roles that you can actually identify for your team on the continent? I think, a lot of times we focus on just engineers, but there's so many different roles that you can identify for your business to help scale your team fast and not spend an arm and a leg doing it. The third is really thinking about how to start sourcing and hiring. That's a key area where I think for a lot of people who don't have a familiarity of West Africa, East Africa, Southern Africa, where do I start? Who do I trust? I've never been there. I've only been there for vacation. I'll walk you through some ways that you can tactically identify potential partners who you trust and you can build a relationship with. And then last, how do you make this thing scalable and efficient? It's not just about hiring a lot of people, but how do you develop a team that 2 years, 3 years from now, you can count on them being future leaders of your company. So let's start with why Africa, right? I think outside the fact that, the continent of Africa has over 1 billion people, the median age is around 20, you have a lot of young people who are very sharp and they need jobs, right? Now, when you think about tech communities, 5, 6, 7 years ago, when you looked at this map, you probably saw a few countries on there. South Africa, Kenya, maybe Nigeria, maybe around 100, 150 tech communities. Literally within 3, 4 years, you have almost 500 tech communities across so many different countries, whether it's Anglophone countries where you speak English, Lusophone where you're speaking Portuguese, Francophone where you're speaking French. There's so many different communities that are bubbling up. And that's a testament not only to just a desire and the hunger for a lot of the people there to continue to develop and find opportunities, but it's also a testament to the infrastructure and how now, 10 years ago when I would go to Nigeria, I would have to go to an internet cafe because I could not even access internet on my phone. To now, you have 4G, you have fiber, you have abilities for teams to do what they need to do and not have issues around power, around slow internet. And a lot of times you think that, on the continent, you don't have these things. But nowadays, there's so much investment in infrastructure that are making these tech communities possible. In addition to that, you also see that, a large corporates are taking wind to this. So it's not just me sitting here and telling you this. Lots of companies such as Google, Microsoft, you have other companies and accelerators, they're investing a lot of money and resources because they see that this is the future. Not only for them to just say that they're on ground, but they're building teams to become competitive. So if you look at the case of Microsoft, they've built a development center across Nairobi in Nigeria. They've just built an artificial intelligence center in Ghana. These are initiatives that they're putting in place over the past few years because they know that there's so much talent there that they want to cultivate and continue to develop. GitHub, I'm not sure, raise your hands if anyone's on GitHub. Great, so GitHub was recently acquired maybe about a year ago by Microsoft. Nigeria is one of the fastest growing communities for GitHub, even to the point where their CEO has spent, I think, 2 or 3 visits to Nigeria in the past year or 2. So that just speaks to the amount of investment that corporates are really trying to invest on the continent as well. Now, I think a lot of times when you think of outsourcing, you think of this page, and I want to put it on there because I want to walk through what the numbers are. But once you read this, forget about it, because I want to walk you through why that this is an important piece, but it's not the important piece for developing a team. Yes, on the continent, if you look at just the average salaries of developers, sales development reps, data analysts, you will be able to scale fast with the team on the continent, but that's not enough. So take a look at it, let it marinate, but let's move on to that because this should not be the focus of the conversation today.